Bro, my frame's getting cropped. My whole t-shirt is not visible. Anyway, alright. I have in front of me two of the best phones under rupees 30,000. The iQoo Neo 6 and the Moto Edge 30. But which device is right for you? Well, that's the question we'll be answering today in this video. This is one from GTR and you're watching my in-depth comparison of the Moto Edge 30 with the iQoo Neo 6 to find out which phone makes the best sense for you as a consumer. Let's get started. Alright, so first things first, let's start by talking about the design here. Now they have contrasty looks for sure, but I feel confident in saying that most folks would definitely like Motorola's look here. The slim form factor makes for a great in-hand feel. There's also a massive difference in terms of weight of both the devices, which is also why I like the Moto Edge 30 more. Now one thing to note however is that Moto has quite sharp edges. Now they're not gonna cut through anything, but it's still quite sharp and would definitely take some time getting used to. I also happen to like the camera module on the Moto Edge 30. With all of that being said, the color gradient on the Neo 6 in itself is quite flashy and would definitely attract a lot of eyes. See, at the end of the day, they're both excellent devices in terms of design. What you like is up to you, whether you want looks or functionality. Now, in terms of looks, like I said, it's everyone's choice. Design is subjective. You might actually like iQoo's look over Moto's, which is completely fine. In some areas, I do like iQoo's look here, but at the end of the day, I do value overall usability of a device, and the lightweight and thinness of the device of the Moto Edge 30 definitely makes it my pick here over the Neo 6 in terms of design. Now both the devices come with an in-display fingerprint scanner and support for face unlock. As for connectivity, you get dual SIM card slots on both, and the Neo 6 also comes with an IR blaster as well. Alright, so moving along, let's talk about the displays. The Neo 6 comes with a 6.6-inch 120Hz AMOLED panel, while the Motorola comes with a 6.5-inch 144Hz AMOLED panel. Now Moto's display is a tad bit smaller here, but that doesn't make any big difference. Similarly, the 144Hz refresh rate doesn't really offer a significant advantage over 120Hz. At the end of the day, they're both equally good. Wideband L1 is supported on both. Adding onto the displays, you have the stereo speaker setup on both the devices, and once again, it's a direct match. Both are equally good, both get loud, and both have good quality. Alright, design, subjective. Display and audio, direct match. So, next thing, cameras. Now the iQoo Neo 6 comes with a 64MP OIS primary sensor with an 8MP ultra-wide sensor and a 2MP macro sensor. On the other hand, the Moto Edge 30 comes with a 50MP OIS sensor plus a 50MP ultra-wide sensor and a 2MP depth sensor. Up front, you have a 16MP shooter on the Neo 6 while Motorola doubles it up with a 32MP shooter. And daylight shots both are pretty good. Apart from the slight differences in color profiles, they both genuinely look quite alike. As for the color profile, like I said, Motorola definitely captures more closer to reality colors. iQoo on the other hand adds a bit of vibrance to the shots. Now it's not bad in any means and definitely appealing in its own way. As for HDR, it's good on both, but I would have to say that it's ever so slightly better on the Neo 6. Now shots are also more detailed on the iQoo Neo 6, but again, it's not by a massive margin. For selfies, the Neo 6 has a more contrasty shot that I personally like more. In comparison, Motorola's shot looks a bit washed out. Moving on to low light shots, the Neo 6 is again ever so slightly better in normal mode. With the low light mode enabled, they're both equivalent shots with nothing to complain on either device. As for videos, well, let's take a look. Alright, so we're recording 4K 30fps footage from the iQoo Neo 6 which is on my left and the Moto Edge 30 which is on my right side. Now they're both set at 4K 30fps with standard stability mode. They both have the OIS camera sensor, so you can get an idea of the kind of stabilization that you can expect from the devices. The HDR performance isn't amazing by any means, but I think looking at this frame right now, I feel that the Moto Edge 30 is doing a considerably better job, at least from what I can view in the viewfinder. And the camera around, and overall, I would have to say that while there is not a massive difference in terms of the overall video quality, I think I would personally slide with what the Moto Edge 30 is producing. Alright, so now we're recording 1080p 30 FPS footage from the iQoo Neo 6 is on my left and the Moto Edge 30 which is on the right side. Now, even though both the phones have the camera in the center, obviously if I'm holding like this, the frame is going to be a little disjoint. But one thing to note right off the bat is that Moto's footage is a lot more cropped in. And I mean, even if I pan the camera around and now with the sun falling on my face, I think what we've seen so far stays true here in as well, where Moto's shot is definitely more color accurate. In terms of sharpness, I would say they look about the same. But because of the fact that I have a bigger play area in the iQoo Neo 6, I think I would slide with the Neo 6's selfie footage here. Now, while you saw all of that, there are a couple of things that I would like to highlight. One, while the camera shots in comparison are quite comparable, the speed of processing is way too fast on the Neo 6. The Moto Edge 30 definitely takes a time to process. I mean, you can click an image and then you'll have to wait for a couple of seconds when it actually finishes processing inside the gallery. Like literally, click an image, especially if it's one of those HDR shots, and then just immediately tap on the saved image and you'll see the processing text down there. It's similar to how Samsung also takes its time to process images. But to be honest, at the end of the day, if the result is this good, I'm not really complaining. At the end of the day, however, it's clear that the Neo 6 has a better camera. But again, that is to be expected because not only does it pack in a slightly better hardware, especially in terms of the primary camera, but it also comes with a better processor that processes images faster and also comes with a better ISP. With all of that being said, the good part here is that the Snapdragon 778 Plus processor is not far behind. Speaking of not being far behind, let's talk about the actual performance. Now, like I said, it's the Snapdragon 870 versus the Snapdragon 778 Plus. Now, the benchmarks are on your screen and it's obvious that the 870 is the better performer here. Like I said, that was to be expected. If you leave the benchmark scores aside, the real-world performance is the same in both. In fact, for the average user, you might like Motorola's performance more since it stays a lot cooler and the slimmer design makes it better to hold. With that being said, for gamers, however, even though both the devices play games at the highest settings, the Neo 6 is the clear winner here. You get more stable frame rates and an overall better performance, along with a, not to forget, pretty good game mode. Speaking about the game mode, let's talk a little bit about the software. Now, the Moto Edge 30 comes with clean Android 12 with Motorola's slight additions on top, while the Neo 6 comes with OneTouchOS 12 based on Android 12. The good part here is that they're both based on Android 12. Now, let's look at the pros and cons. For the Moto Edge 30, the pros here, well, you got a clean UI, free from all ads, all bloatware, and the Moto additions that you get are actually genuinely good. The whole experience is smooth, lag-free, and quite stable. The cons here, well, despite being stock Android, the update history for Motorola devices is not good. So that is a big bummer for me. On the other hand, you have the iQoo Neo 6 with the OneTouchOS, which I've said multiple times. Like OneTouchOS is one of my, personally I feel is one of the most improved skins in recent times, especially when with the Android 11 upgrade and now with the Android 12 upgrade as well. Of course, you do get a ton of bloatware here that yes, you can uninstall, but I mean, you still do have a lot of bloatware here. The good part here, however, is that iQoo's track record, like iQoo and Vivo's track record in terms of updates has been phenomenal. I mean, Vivo and iQoo's devices are one of the first to receive their Android updates. So that is a very good positive. And even if you don't really care about the Android version, security updates are one thing that you really should be concerned about. And once again, the iQoo Neo 6 definitely delivers there. Alright, next up, let's talk about the battery life. Now, the Moto Edge 30 comes with a 4020 mAh battery with 33 watts of fast charging, while the Neo 6 comes with a bigger 4700 mAh battery with a much faster 80 watts fast charging. Now, the Neo 6 definitely has a bigger battery here and much faster charging tech. However, the Neo 6 has a much more power-efficient processor. So at the end of the day, there's not a big gap in terms of battery life. I mean, still, the Neo 6 definitely does last a bit longer, but it's not a significant gap as you would expect by just looking at the specs. Which brings us to the pricing. Now, the Moto Edge 30 is priced at Rs 28,000 and 30,000 for both of its variants, while the Neo 6 starts at Rs 30,000 and goes all the way up to 34,000 for both of its variants. If you look at the 30,000 price tag, basically you get the 8 plus 128GB variant of both the devices. So it's the same price tag. But which device to pick? Okay, so if you are a gamer or anyone who's serious about performance, the Neo 6 is definitely the clear winner here. It obviously is powered by a more powerful processor, so that gives you better performance not only for gaming but also better or faster processing in terms of the camera department as well. Not to forget, you also get a bigger battery and faster charging speed as well. So overall, the Neo 6 is definitely a budget flagship. With that being said, not everybody needs that power, right? I don't. I'll tell you why. And in that scenario, the Moto Edge 30 is a device that's built for the masses. The lightweight design, the slim design of it is something that you will love to hold in your hands. The performance is flagship like. Obviously, it's not flagship for sure. But like if you leave the numbers apart, the end performance is still comparable to a normal flagship. I mean, seriously, forget about the benchmarks. Start using these devices side by side and you'll actually notice zero difference in both the devices. And that is the point that I'm getting at. The end user experience of the Moto Edge 30 is pretty good. And personally, I am not someone who games a lot on their mobile devices. So while I do enjoy gaming on the iQoo Neo 6, as a daily driver, I would be rocking the Moto Edge 30. With that being said, not everybody is the same. If you do game a lot on your devices, if you do want the best performance, if you do want a flagship-like experience in all aspects, it hardly gets better than the Neo 6. It's an easy recommendation. And well, that was it. If you found this video helpful, make sure to let us know by giving us a thumbs up and subscribing to our channel for more awesome tech content. Till then, this is Varun from GTR, and I'll see you in the next one.